So deployment environments are basically a version of the code that is available on a specific URL, right? You have your main website, let's say example.com. In this example, well, in this slide, we're looking at example.com, right? So typically you would know of example.com. That is the site that the public will access. But the people that are creating example.com, they probably have another version of it at a URL dev.example.com. Then there will be another version, test@example.com. And there will be another version at staging@example.com. So those environments are typical. They're not the only ones. It can be many more. It can be less. Companies can have just the dev and staging environment. They might have just the test and the prod environment. It all depends how the company decides to set it up. But typically, you would have these four environments, typically, in most cases, right? So production environment is the final environment where it has to be clean, it has to work properly. That is the environment where the public access it, right? So when you go to superskiway.com, that is the my production environment. When you go to facebook.com, that is a production environment, right? When you go to amazon.com, that is a production environment. That's where the customers see, that's where the public see. But before that, for Facebook, they would, I don't know, I never worked on Facebook, but they would have a different version of it at a different URL, dev.facebook.com or testing.facebook.com or qa.facebook.com or something like that. That will point into a different server. So what happens is you want to deploy the code. That's what deploy means. Deploy basically means you take the code from wherever it is stored in GitHub, most likely, or something like that. You take it from there and you put it on the machine where it's supposed to be executed, where it runs, right? The code by itself doesn't do anything. It has to run. We talked about that before. So you take it from where it's stored, you put it on a server to run, right? So that server basically is an environment. So you put it on some server, you test it out, make sure it works. Then you put it into the next server, which could be the production server, the final one, or in multiple stages. So in this slide, that's basically what I'm showing you is we take dev.example.com is going to point to a specific server. So I'm just going to show you 3 slides and I'm going to show you actual examples of that to-do app and different environments of that, right? So dev.example.com would point to a particular server, a particular IP address. Test.example.com would point to another server. And staging.example.com will point to another server. And production will point to another server, right? And the way you usually protect it from the public is, well, there's a lot of different ways, but the public cannot access that. If you go to dev.something.com, they block that, so you can only access it from within the network, within the company's network. So on my job, when I'm testing that stuff, I have to be either at work, right, in the office physically, so I can use the network, or I have to be connected to a VPN. So they expose access to those particular sites from the VPN. So not the entire public cannot access it, only people that have access can access it, right?